Hello everyone and welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Mike.
I'm Rainbow.
And how are you feeling today, Rainbow?
I am not sick, thankfully.
Good? No cough?
No.
No strange things
No
growing
weird
under
things.
on your neck?
I think I'm okay today.
All right, no Black Death here. I'm pretty sure I don't have it. And hopefully you guys don't either. But back in 1347, we probably all would have had it, which would mean we wouldn't be here, because the Black Death killed 1 in 3 people in Europe.
So many people.
That's 33. Remember those terrible pictures from like Italy when COVID first started and no one was out on the street and they had those hospitals with doctors and nurses and all these sick people? Imagine that was only for something like COVID, which of course was terrible and scary and did kill lots of people, but nothing compared to the Black Death. As we learned yesterday, it was carried by fleas and rats. From Asia, and then arrived in Italy in 1347, and over the next couple of years spread all across Europe. I think pretty much everywhere. Maybe not quite to Northern Europe. Maybe in Norway, Sweden, you know, the cold helped them. Possibly, but still, if you were living in Europe in the 14th century, there's a good chance that you either had the Black Death or lived in a world, in a country, in a society completely changed once the Black Death had come through and all those people died. It's almost impossible for us to imagine how horrible this must have been for the people back then, but learning about it is definitely interesting and may give us lessons for the future. Because of course we have science today, but we still have diseases today, and they are, as we know, constantly changing. So let's learn about the past to protect ourselves in the future. 1 in 3, the horror of the Black Death.
The Black Death got its name from the black, painful lumps that appeared on an infected person's skin. After these had formed, the infected would become weak and develop a fever before finally dying. In the face of this horror, people were willing to try anything to fight the disease. It was believed that the illness spread through bad smells, so doctors began to wear masks stuffed with nice-smelling herbs. However, this did not protect them. With no effective treatments, families sometimes abandoned their sick loved ones to save themselves. Those who were already infected often tried to cure the sickness by bathing in vinegar or by performing controlled bleedings.
All right, so we know a little bit about the history of the disease, the Black Death, how it came to Europe and how it spread around. But let's actually get into the really horrible stuff, the really disgusting stuff. What actually happened to people when they got this disease, the Black Death? It has a few other names. That's not the medical name for it, but that's the name we know of it. We use for it when talking about the history of the disease. And yes, black is often associated with bad things, with death, with dying. But there was more to the name than just black, meaning, you know, death and dying. It says the Black Death got its name from the black, painful lumps that appeared on an infected person's skin. Generally, they would grow either around the neck, under the armpits, or between your legs. And these are like large, painful bumps that would start off as little blisters and then get bigger. And eventually, I think they would pop.
Is it blood inside?
Oh, blood and pus and disgusting body stuff that, of course, also very, very quickly spreads the disease.
Yuck.
And it would be a horrible, painful way to die or be sick and awful. Anyways, if something is painful, it's pretty awful because it is full of pain. It hurts a lot. That's what I'm saying. If you bite your tongue while you're chewing your food, that's painful. If you get an infected tooth, every time you drink something cold, that might be painful. If you break a leg, if you cut your hand, if you hit your head, if you do something like that to yourself that makes you go, ouch, if it makes you go, ouch, and maybe even say a bad word, it must be very painful. For example, breaking my arm was the most painful experience of my life. Yeah,
Oh,
I can
ouch.
imagine that. Breaking your leg. I think breaking your collarbone.
Oh my goodness.
I've heard. I've never done it.
my
I heard that's
goodness.
pain.
No.
Anyways, don't break or damage or cut
Be
or
careful,
tear or
please.
destroy your body. Because if you do, it'll hurt.
It'll be very painful.
Yeah.
After these had formed, these lumps, the infected would become weak and develop a fever before finally dying. So if you had these lumps, you'd have to be careful because then you would start to heat up and then it would just be awful and then you would just die.
And then again, no medicine.
Nope.
You can't go to the drugstore.
All you could do was pray.
You can pray. You know, people used to put, nice smelling things. They thought bad smells would spread disease. So as we said, they'd have dry flowers in their house, but that wasn't helping. In the face of this horror, people were willing to try anything to fight the disease. They didn't have vaccines. They didn't know about DNA or, any of that stuff. It was believed that the illness spread through bad smells. So doctors began to wear masks stuffed with nice smelling herbs. And if you've ever seen these masks, they are terrifying themselves.
Are they?
They're like long birds' beaks over with a leather mask and little windows for the eyes, and they would put smelly herbs in the mask to protect the doctor while he was treating the sick people, but none of it worked.
However, this did not protect them. With no effective treatments, families sometimes abandoned their sick loved ones to save themselves.
That's even
So
worse.
they had to leave their family members behind and leave so they could stay healthy and the other family members would just die. There were no effective masks or treatments. The word effective means something that works properly and does what it is supposed to do. So if a mask is effective, that means it protects you from disease. If it's not effective, maybe it's just a piece of cloth, or maybe it's just nice smelling herbs without medicine. It was not effective. It didn't work at all. A sentence for you. Walking to work instead of taking the MRT is an effective way to save money, meaning it is a way that works. It is effective.
That's true. Might also be an effective way to get more exercise into your
great.
day or something like that. So they didn't have any effective medicines. They didn't have any treatment options that were effective that doctors could use. They were basically helpless. Those who were already infected often tried to cure the sickness by bathing in vinegar or by performing controlled bleedings.
Oh.
This was sort of the height of medicine at that time. I mean, vinegar is not bad. Vinegar does
vinegar
kill
is good. It
things.
disinfects.
Right? People use it to clean, their kitchen or things like that. But against something like the Black Death, I think you'd have to have oceans of vinegar. I'm not sure it would actually work. And of course, taking baths in it and things like that also didn't work. We have this word perform. To perform something is basically to do a specific action. We often use this when talking about arts and entertainment. You perform a song, you perform on stage. You and your friends will perform a dance at your graduation party or something like that. But we can also use it in specific cases, especially with things like medicine or things like people doing some kind of special action or special procedure in order to get some kind of result. Doctors perform operations. All right, that's a verb we often use. You don't say my doctor will do the operation. I mean, you could. It wouldn't be wrong, but we often use this to perform, okay? So if you perform a trick on your bike, you're doing a trick on your bicycle. A magician will perform a trick. They will do a trick, but perform is often a better verb to use. Here's one. I hope Taylor Swift sings Shake It Off when I see her perform next month. That's more in the traditional sense of doing a show or singing a song. So there you go. People abandoned in their homes by their loved ones to die alone. Vinegar being the miracle drug, the miracle medicine that will save us all. None of it helped, and a lot of it just made things worse. All right, we're going to take a break, and then we'll be back.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。黑死病 （Black Death） 它的名字由来是跟受感染者皮肤上出现的黑色疼痛肿块有关。这些肿块形成后呢，感染者会变得衰弱并发烧，最终死亡。那我们来看一下 painful。painful 就是形容疼痛的、痛苦的或是难受的。那文中的 lump 它是表达肿块或是隆起。Mike 老师这时候也有提到 blister，blister，blister 表示水泡，还有提到 pus，pus，pus 就是脓。好，那么课文接着就提到说，面对这种恐怖啊，当时的人们愿意尝试任何方法来对抗这种疾病。那一般认为这种疾病是透过难闻的气味传播的，因此医生就开始戴上塞满了好闻的药草的面具。不过这并没有保护到他们，因为没有有效的治疗方法，家人有时候还会抛弃生病的亲人来拯救自己。那么感染者常常还用这种醋来泡澡，或者是进行有控制的放血来试图治疗疾病。我们来看单字 effective， 它是形容有效的，产生预期效果的。那么 perform 它是动词，表示执行、进行，它也有表演、演出的意思。Mike 老师聊到当时医生戴的那一种塞满药草的面具，其实本身看起来就蛮可怕的。同学们有空可以试着上网找一找图片。那老师用到 terrifying 来形容 ，terrifying，terrifying 是形容恐怖的、令人害怕的。老师也有提到当时没有相关的疫苗，那么 vaccine 或是念作 vaccine，V-A-C-C-I-N-E 就是指疫苗。好，这边两个重点，我们进入文法时间。我们来看第一个重点是 the 加上形容词的用法。the 加上形容词可以用来统称有某种特质或特性的人事物，通常是视为复数，像 the rich富人、有钱人 ，the poor 穷人 ，the sick 病人等等。例如 ，She devoted herself to helping the poor。她致力于帮助贫困的人。那么第二重点是 in the face of something 是表达面对、面临什么什么。In the face of 之后常常会接困难啊、危险等等负面的事，像是 It's not easy to stay calm in the face of difficulties。面对困境时保持冷静并不容易。好，接着回到课文中。
Every part of society was affected, from the richest to the poorest. So many people died that there was a worker shortage. This meant that poor workers were able to ask for higher wages and have more control over their own lives. By the time the Black Death was finally over, European society had been changed forever. What started as rumors of a disease in Asia ended as one of the scariest and most impactful chapters in Western history.
So this terrible disease is all over Europe, in the cities, in the towns. It's killing 33% of the people, and they have basically no way of stopping it. So the next sentence by now, after we've read so much, should be no surprise. Every part of society was affected, from the richest to the poorest. Often rich people can, protect themselves. They might have more money. They might be able to leave the town and, live in the country, pay for doctors. Black Death did not really care too much. It killed the great and the good, as well as the lowliest person in society. So many people died that there was a worker shortage. This meant that poor workers were able to ask for higher wages and have more control over their own lives. So of course it was terrible when it happened, but because so many people died, this is interesting. Poor people, workers, peasants, your average working person who basically had no political or social or economic power, after the death, after the plague, after the Black Death, they had a lot more because, hey, you want me to pick your potatoes or whatever? Pay me, buddy, because there's no one else to do the work. So their wages went up.
That's right. And your wages is basically your salary or the money that you get for your work. So imagine if your wage was one piece of silver for a week. Now maybe you could get 2.
Ooh,
That's
or even
amazing.
5.
Or even 5.
Wow.
Because literally there was nobody around to do the work.
Yeah.
So it was like a union. Everybody was like, pay me more. So it was good for those people who survived. If you want to keep me at the company, then you need to pay me a higher wage. Means the salary that I have every month now isn't going to do. I'm going to leave unless you give me more money for me to stay.
Exactly. Wages are usually based on hourly work, how much you get paid per hour, whereas a salary might be more for a month or a whole year. Right. So often when you get your first job, you'll be paid on a wage basis. But if you work for a big company, say, you might have a salary.
By the time the Black Death was finally over, European society had been changed forever. What started as rumors of a disease in Asia ended as one of the scariest and most impactful chapters in Western history. That is horrible, and it would forever change the history of Europe.
Absolutely, which is partly why we're still studying and learning about it today. Forever means for all time. It never ends, it never changes.
Forever,
it will always be there, or it will always be true, or something like that. You're basically putting a no time limit on this thing. For example, the husband told his wife that he would love her forever. Even after he's dead.
And after she's dead.
And after she's dead and all that stuff. So there you go. So it's time to turn our attention to what do you think? What is the most ill you have ever felt, and how did you get better? And I'm betting it wasn't the Black Death.
No, it wasn't. Good. I would say it was food poisoning.
Ooh, that could be bad.
Food poisoning.
Yeah.
And it was awful because you have to go to the bathroom like 8 times a day, and it makes you so weak.
Oh, gosh.
And you can't really stomach anything because you're throwing it all up. And then your stomach's empty, your body's weak. You have to keep like taking vitamins, and you're just lying there feeling like you're about to die.
Oh my God, you got to also drink water, right?
Yeah, and then you're like throwing that up too.
Right, and your stomach hurts. So that's a good example. Yeah, it might not kill you, might not last too long, but for those couple of days, you feel awful. How about you guys? Have you ever felt like you're gonna die? Have you ever wished you would die? I'm so sick, I would die.
Oh my God.
Hopefully not, but you can tell us about that time you got really sick and have a chat about it and compare horrible health stories with your friends, which is always fun. All right, guys, take care of yourselves and each other. Don't get the Black Death, whatever you do.
Don't get these black things on your body.
And we'll see you back here soon, hopefully.
Bye.
Bye.
其实黑死病也可以称为 the plague。Plague 这个字当一般的名词，它可以表达瘟疫、灾难或是祸患的意思。那这么严重可怕的瘟疫，没有人能够幸免。社会上的每个部分，从最富有到最贫穷的人都受到了影响。这么多人死亡，就造成了工人短缺。那这意味着贫穷工人能够要求更高的工资，并且对自己的生活有更多的控制权。当黑死病疫情终于结束的时候，欧洲社会已经永远改变了。好，单字 wage 它表示工资、工钱或是薪水。那么 forever 它是副词，表示永远、总是或是长久地。刚刚在讲到社会阶层低、贫穷的工人时 ，Mike 老师也有提到农民，他说的这个 peasant。Peasant 可以常常用来指旧时一些以前的那种，或者是贫穷国家的农民啊、农夫。好，那这边一个重点，我们要进入文法时间。这边我们要介绍的是 by the time， 表示到什么什么时，在什么什么之前，用来引导时间副词子句，那可以描述过去或是未来。我们在描述未来的时候，注意副词子句是要用现在式来代替未来式哦。那再来看到主要子句的部分，我们可以用简单式表达，或者是用完成式来强调动作已经完成。我们看两个例句。By the time you come back, I will have finished my homework. 等到你回来时，我就已经写完回家作业了。那这边是在描述未来，可是我们看到副词子句是用现在式 come， 而不是未来式哦。那么主要子句则是用未来完成式 will have finished， 强调说动作已完成。下一个例句是 By the time we got there, there were no seats left. 我们到的时候已经没有空位了。那这是来描述过去，我们看到前后子句都是用过去简单式表达。好，那以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
The Black Death got its name from the black, painful lumps that appeared on an infected person's skin. After these had formed, the infected would become weak and develop a fever before finally dying. In the face of this horror, people were willing to try anything to fight the disease. It was believed that the illness spread through bad smells, so doctors began to wear masks stuffed with nice-smelling herbs. However, this did not protect them. With no effective treatments, families sometimes abandoned their sick loved ones to save themselves. Those who were already infected often tried to cure the sickness by bathing in vinegar or by performing controlled bleedings. Every part of society was affected, from the richest to the poorest. So many people died that there was a worker shortage. This meant that poor workers were able to ask for higher wages and have more control over their own lives. By the time the Black Death was finally over, European society had been changed forever. What started as rumors of a disease in Asia ended as one of the scariest and most impactful chapters in Western history.
Here's how to play. The host will be holding 3 cards. Each card will have 2 sentences containing a secret vocabulary word or phrase that has been replaced by the word bear. The host will read the sentences out loud for the contestants to guess. Whoever guesses first gets a point. The person with the most points wins. And you can play along too.
Hello everyone, my name is Winnie.
I'm Matt.
I'm Carolyn. Let's play Guess the Bear. Okay, so our first one is a noun and it is one word. The old lady has a beautiful bear in her yard. There are all kinds of different flowers in the bear world.
Plant.
Nope.
Bush.
Nope. Garden? Ooh, yeah, you got it, So the old lady has a beautiful garden in her yard. There are all kinds of different flowers in the garden. Okay, very good. Okay, so second one, it is a verb, one word. When you're in danger, always bear for help. The boy heard his mom bear his name and went home.
Shout.
Nope.
Call.
Oh, you got it. Okay, neck and neck. Okay, this one goes to the winner. When you're in danger, always call for help. The boy heard his mom call his name and went home. Okay, very good. Okay, last one. Phrase, 2 words. Congratulations on getting first place. I am so bear you. Pete is bear his son for standing up for himself.
Proud of.
Oh, yeah, very good. Congratulations on getting first place. I am so proud of you. Pete is proud of his son for standing up for himself. And I'm sorry to say, Carolyn, but Matt's the winner.
Was it? That was pretty close.
Yeah, that was very neck and neck over there. But you guys both actually kind of answered at the same time.
Yeah.
But
There were some times, I think.
I'd give it a tie.
Okay.